So everyone, I thought right now we'd do some smoke tips. This is minutes after the last video about the cigars I had here with me, and I basically just want to give you some smoke tips. So one of the worst things that you can do when smoking a cigar when you first line up a cigar is not light the whole thing. And the same goes for cigarettes and all that, but especially with cigars because it just makes such a big difference in the taste. So if you're a taste craver and you really want the full essence of what you're smoking, you need to know how to light your cigar properly. That's one thing we're going to talk about in this video. The second thing we're going to talk about in this video is basically going to be when you about dotting out your cigars and cigarettes and re-smoking them. Because a lot of people will take a cigar like this, as you can see, it's very bad, and then go, well, I think it's time to smoke, and go like this and just, get part of it lit like. Hold on, let's see. I think this one's actually wet. Well, anyway, the basic idea is, this is wet. No wonder why it's not lighting. Anyway, the reason, basically, what I'm saying is people are going to dot it out and then try to get something to light up and then smoke it. That's not the way you want to do it. If you dot out your cigar or lighter, you should always keep a blade with you, by the way. Not always with you in your car or something. But if you're at home or something, have like a razor blade. You should put a little bit of duct tape on the top of it or something. Keep it away from your children. Keep it with your smoke box. You should always have like a little smoke area separate from your children, your family that doesn't smoke or something, because it's your habit. They don't need it. But anyway, you should have a little blade. I don't have one with me today, sorry. But you basically want to take your cigar and you can see where it's been dotted out, right? So what you want to do is you want to go like this. Use your pinky. You can do it right there then, or actually no, go farther down. Right about there. You just cut it off right there. Your cigar will be fresh. And when you cut with a blade, you should always cut like this, downwards and around like that. So you should always have like a table, downwards and around on the table. So you're going to end up touching the table with it on the end. And that's the way you want to basically get done. That way you get the full, cut through, and you don't just cut like on a weird angle. Because then when you go to relight it, it's not going to light very well at all. So, that being said, I think I'm not going to demonstrate that in this video, but if you need me to demonstrate, I know it's a pretty basic concept, but someone out there is going to disagree, and someone out there is going to say there's easier ways, and someone out there is going to say, well, why don't you show us? And I don't have a blade with me today, I'm sorry. I accidentally cut myself with it one day, and I threw it across the room, and I have no idea where it's at. Why did I cut myself? Because I have no idea, I wasn't paying attention. But anyway, let's smoke a cigar. Now, I want to show you guys how to properly light a cigar. Now, the cigar I'm going to be using for this video is a piece of junk cigar. That is aware, it tastes terrible, it's not a very good cigar. We are going to be using the last of the Phillies Blunt Chocolate Aroma cigars. As you can see right here, piece of shit. We've already talked about this. If you haven't seen it, this is a piece of shit. Do not bother. But since it's the last one, I might as well use this one. And the reason why I'm basically using this for the most part is because it's a large cigar and it's easier to show as an example. Also, because when it comes to large cigars, this is the most important part of smoking your large cigars. Otherwise, you'll have to do the cutting that I just talked about, as if you dotted your cigar. You will have to dot it first. Do never cut your cigar with a blade or anything before you dot your cigar if you're going to cut it. Or maybe before you smoke, you can cut it. I know some people, if they have a big cigar like this, they might cut it right in half, and they might, basically, there's this technique where you can unravel the paper a little bit, and you can make the paper tighter, and then they make short versions of the cigar, and they use the paper as tight as they can, so they can get this real thin-ended cigar and everything. It's really hard to show you right now with a cigar that won't be able to do that, because this paper is so cheap, and the way they packed it's very cheap. If you really tried to shake this out, it's not very compact at all. I mean, it looks compact, but this is something you could do at home. You can make better ones at home than this. So that just pisses me off. If you don't know how to make cigars at home, okay, then you have some issues right now. But if you guys want a video on that too, we'll be glad to do that. But the biggest thing also with lighting your cigar before you actually just light it, know that if you're going to cut it in half and do that, you can do that now. Also knowing the size of your cigar. If it's a smaller cigar, you don't need as big of a light or a flame. If it's a bigger cigar, you want a bigger flame than the actual cigar. head. So it comes down to this. If you have a very, very, very tiny cigar, let me show you what I mean. You want a lighter, you're not going to want a lighter to do this. Well, that's very hard for you to see, isn't it? Ah, boy. There we go. Let's see if we can get... Oh, shit, you can't see. Ah! Well, you don't want a flame to be like this. This is how high the flame on this one is. So, consider this. If this is how high the flame is, look at all this room you have. You're going to end up burning the outer parts of the paper and not actually the tobacco, and that's going to cause problems for you during your smoke. Now, these Bic lighters, or this off-brand lighter, I don't really know what brand this is, has the option of going less or more with the little minus and plus sign. You should always put it all the way to the minus, so you get a flame. Hold on, it's like this big. It's like this big, right here. So we went from having a flame like this to a flame like this, and that's really good because for this you're gonna act like this, like a cigar, like a cigarette with it, because it basically is a cigarette, like this. And with burning it, you can see I almost got a perfect circle with that one. You want to get a inhale, and you want to basically get a even inhale. You don't want to go. You don't want to do that, because a lot of people, when they first light up their cigarettes or cigars, go. And you don't want that. You just want to go little bit, not a lot. And you really don't want to do this. You don't want to do that, because not only is it bad for your lungs, I know smoking in general is bad for your lungs, but you're just going to, get too much of the paper burning. Another thing most people do, which I'm not going to do well, I guess I will. You don't want to do that. You know what? You don't really want to do that. You don't want to hold it in as long as you can. I didn't hold it in as long as I can, but I don't want to make this video monotonous with stupidity, even though it already is probably. You don't want to basically hold it in as long as you can before you start smoking, because a lot of times your lungs are not ready for it, and if you smoked a cigar before this or a cigarette, it doesn't make a difference. You should always take deep little inhales and little breaths, so you don't have to hold it all in, because that really gets into your lungs and it'll make you cough. This is just a little bit about smoking in general. It doesn't matter what you're smoking. I don't care if you're smoking something illegal or legal. You do not want to smoke a big puff and hold it in as long as you can and then let out like that. It just doesn't work. If you're a new smoker, or whatever, to any kind of drug, I've seen people smoke weed and so on, and I used to take part in those things, not anymore, but one of the biggest things they do is they inhale, and they inhale as long as they can, thinking that that's going to get them a better high. You're going to get a high, but you're going to get a brain high. A high that's going to make you disoriented, and not a good high. And yes, you can do it with nicotine as well. So, don't be stupid. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. Sure, tobacco, you think that tobacco is harmless, in the sense of it's not going to alter your brain. Believe me, it can. If you smoked as much as I have of tobacco, you'll know. I've smoked 13 cigars yesterday, and my head starts to hurt. It's going to happen. I don't care how long you've been smoking for. 13 cigars, or even possibly 3 cigars, will just screw up your head. Even maybe 1 if you never smoked a cigar before. It's going to make your head feel lightheaded. And today I've already smoked 5, so I mean, that's the big thing. If you take slow and little inhales, and not too much, and you don't go and hold it in, you're going to be able to last a lot longer than someone who's going to hold all that shit in. And for someone who out there who's going to smoke weed or something, I don't recommend you smoking weed. It's illegal, at least in my country. But the thing is, if you're going to smoke weed, you're going to get high anyways from the contact in the room. So what's the point of holding it all in? You're not going to be saving yourself money with weed. You're just going to be wasting the weed, for one. And it's not good. You're doing a lot of harm to your chest, and you're doing a lot of harm to your lungs. So when you finally start to breathe, maybe you go running sometime that same week, you're going to start coughing, you're going to have asthma attacks if you have asthma, you're going to have bronchial attacks, and even if you don't have bronchitis before, you might have it later, because you're putting all that pressure there, and it's just going to cause troubles, basically. So, do not do that. Don't smoke weed in general. It's not good. A very immature thing to do. If you're legal age to drink, then drink, but drink responsibly. If not, then smoke tobacco as long as you're legal age. I don't recommend anyone doing anything that's not legal. That is not something you should be a part of, and I do not take part of anything that's illegal at this time in my life. That being said, I really don't care what you guys do. Just don't harm yourself or someone else, and we'll be okay. But when it comes to lighting other cigars now, because I want to go back to that, it comes down to, like I said, the size of the cigar. And if you have a big cigar like I have right here, you want to put the flame all the way up. So see the flame right there, all the way to the right, which is the plus, and the flame should look like we've seen before, like that. And basically, you'll be able to get your light. Another thing I want to say before we go on is with smaller cigars and stuff and cigarettes, these Ed Hardy lighters seem to do very well. They were electric one-push things, you know, and they burned the shit out of my thumb because they're just pieces of shit in my opinion. But someone who's smoking a little cigarette or something, this is perfect, because you're always going to get that perfect size flame. Whereas this, because you're using pressure, may not give you the same size flame every time. This is already automatically done with the press of a button, and it doesn't make a difference how hard you press. This makes a difference on how hard you know, basically, whatever this is called, I don't really know what it's called, press down and stuff, you know. So with a large cigar now, I want you to get a little look at how big that is, you know. So here's the flame. The thing you really want to do with big cigars especially, or pretty much with anything, is go like this. Put it in your mouth between your lips, and get your hand, and basically cuff over, not the flame, just basically behind the flame, into this little bit behind into the side, like this. Perfect circle. Now what you just seen was me basically taking a very light inhale, and what's good about that is now I got a perfect circle. Now it looks like nothing's burning over here, however it is. The only difference is it's burning just slightly underneath the paper, which is actually not that bad. I could have done better to light this up, but this is a pretty good example piece. And like I said, there's that stage where you light it and then you have to breathe in again. So technically you are breathing in twice, but the deal is you're not really breathing in, you're breathing like this. You know, real slow. That way you get the full flavor. You don't need to take long breaths, inhales, or anything. The breath I just took there, the inhale I just took there, could have been longer, but it didn't need to be. It's just all about how you want to smoke. It's all personal preference. But smoking for long inhales like now that's bullshit. Don't do that. That's just stupid. It makes no sense. You're not getting the flavor. All you're doing is making your eyes hurt for one, and two, you're going to make your chest hurt because you're holding in all that, you know, smoke, and it's going down and back up, down and back up, you know. So it's just not very good to do. So as you can see, pretty good. The reason why I'm not inhaling this longer than I am, I hate this cigar with a passion. This cigar tastes terrible. Do not buy this cigar. It's not a very good cigar. God, I hate this cigar. It's terrible. I guess cigars are made for different persons, you know, that's the thing, different persons. For me, not at all. This cigar just sucks. So anyway, dudding out your cigar now, I guess we'll talk about dudding. Generally, you want something that's not going to burn. I've seen people use paper plates and see it turn on fire because they're stupid. And if you have to use a paper plate, which I don't understand why in any circumstance you'd have to, it's possible to dud it out without burning your house down, but it's just, there's no point to it. There's always going to be something that you can use that's better than a paper anything. So, also don't use paper plates around candles, because that burns extremely, extremely fast. But to dud this out, you want to get a cup. As you can see, this cup's pretty full, but whatever, we use it anyway. You just want to get a cup, or something that's not going to melt or burn, or smoke up, or something, you know, just something like a cup that you can use. And if you're really worried about it and there's no water in it already, you should fill it up with a little bit of water at the bottom, or even a can, a soda can. I don't recommend as much, but like say a coffee can, those work perfectly. Anything pretty much at all, ashtray, whatever. And basically what you want to do is you want to basically put it in like this, just dot it in, and you can dig it in like this, or you can just go tap it a couple times and then dig it in, and you're done. Now it's gone. And especially if there's water in the bottom of it, there's not much you have to do. You can just drop it in there, it should be fine. But since there's no water, it's just spitting there because, yes, because that damn cigar makes me spit a lot because it just tastes terrible. You know, it's fine, you just need to dud it in a little bit. So, basically, that's all I have to say about cigars and cigarettes and stuff, or mainly cigars, as I said. For this video, I got a couple more things I'd like to mention, but that's basically it. Another tip is when you're putting down a cigar or something, and you don't want it to dud out, and you don't want to burn your house down. Ashtrays sometimes have those little things for cigarettes. They're just basically the size of these little cigars right here. Oh, I just threw my cigar all over the place. About the size of this. You know, they have little holders. You can actually fit one of these on it perfectly. But they're made for cigarettes, not cigars. But if you want to make your own, if you have a pool table or or any pool sticks, a lot of times those pool stick things, the holders, so you can put it on the table and you can shoot it like that. Those things make perfect, you know, things to put your cigars on. So if you have wood, or you know how to be crafty, basically, measure that out using that, and then you could, you know, dome it out a little bit more, and you can have a little holder for your cigar, and it won't burn the house down. And underneath that little, underneath the end that's lit, you basically want to put something that's not flammable. Like I said, maybe a cup. Or if you have an ashtray, it doesn't make a difference. As long as the ashtray is actually glazed really properly, and it's not a plastic one, because the plastic ones are pointless. Do never buy a plastic ashtray. Never a cheap plastic ashtray, especially. Never buy a wooden ashtray as much. Don't recommend them. I recommend a really glazed one. Those are easier to break, yes, but they last longer and they won't burn the house down. So I have to basically say this video. Cheers, till next time. Thank you.